On the other hand, there have been really a wide experience with the Elman or elegant frequency probe in the endoscopic surgery. It has been started with Tony Young. He introduced it called the thermal disco annuloplasty. He was one of the first who saw the effect by the endoscope to use it on the inflammation. And meanwhile, we have, I think, more than 60,000 or 70,000 applications by the endoscopic surgery. We did our own investigations with weight reduction, with temperature in using these procedures, and the endoscopic documentation was very helpful. If you look at the literature, you see, for example, there are papers about the ablation technique. It started early in 2002. On the other hand, I mentioned Salthouse. I was happy I worked with Stanford in 2001. We started together. So I learned a lot about ID2 and did really serious scientific work. The advantage of this clinic was they got really selected patients. You know, there's a funny study from Australia, from Fraser, and they showed that annuloplasty doesn't work, but they did another selected group of patients. If you look in the internet, you can look for the advertisement they did for collect patients for this study. So they collected really special patients. All patients got workers' compensation problems and like this, yeah, because they paid money for this study. Yeah. Then I think much more important is to look what do we know about combination. And here you see this table from Dr. Lee, the combination between endoscopic manual and laser technique, and you figured out if you combine the manual and the laser, you improve the outcome. On the other hand, allows this paper from Cohen. He showed if you combine an ablation procedure with an IDEC procedure, you can get a better outcome. The problem is you have to buy two devices, it's very expensive. So I think the combination gives you a chance for a better outcome. Then there's a lot of research about the application of this special radio wave or radio frequency technology, so it is well approved. We did our own research, we have seen this one. Everybody is asking how we do annuloplasty. It's always difficult to see how you sweep with this probe on the inner annulus. And if you look here, you can do really a nice modulation of the annulus by steering this probe to the inner annulus. And you see here the fluoroscopic control, how you go over the whole dorsal annulus. On the other hand, we did our research for the nucleus ablation. That means we went straight into the nucleus to create cavities to vaporize, ablate, and peel in the nucleus region. And here you see a picture, some guys have seen it. It's before this procedure. You see this contained interpulmonary extrusion. And after this procedure, you see this extrusion went off or diminished. And you see here we enter the disc, we remove here this material, and you see the tightening of the disc by the radio frequency application 2. And remember the nice picture about the microsurgery. In the muscle region, you see no change on the way of the approach. What results we got with our studies? We showed that the sole application of this radio frequency leads to a weight loss of 0.8 gram. This is sometimes to remove disc material. You can do a filtration of your water irrigation to see how this small piece is coming out by the radio frequencies. On the other hand, this wide range is related to the vaporization of water by application of this radio frequency heat. On the other hand, we did a lot of research to the temperature. We used thermal cameras to figure out how safe it is, what is the best application time, what are the best locations for the application. And in the result of this research, we figured out the protocol that 6 seconds are the best time to be applicated during this. That means we recommend now to do every step 6 seconds for 6 times. Because by after 6 seconds we have good application of energy. We have to know that especially this eloquence energy is a special one because we are using a higher frequency, 1.7 megahertz, and as much higher the frequency is, as much reduced lateral heat is. We know this technology will be used, for example, in plastic surgery as cold cut, because we have really a very local heat related to this physical effect. Here our research by the thermal camera about this local heat, and you see even when you do this annulus modulation, there is no thermal convection to the spinal channel, so we proved really closed system, there's a ground and an end plate. For thermal cameras, you are using open systems. So we repeat this research in a closed system. There you have to use a thermometer, and you are seeing by 1 centimeter away from the dip, there's nearly no change of temperature, and 5 millimeters only a slight change. And very important is, even when you do a 30 seconds continuous application, we reach only a temperature of 43 degrees in the spinal channel as demonstration of the safeness of this technology. On the other hand, there are some more effects. We know about shrinkage. We know if you apply temperature or energy, these collagen helices will be contracted by a special process. And we try to figure it out. At all, we got a series of 6 discs and check what happens if you apply this thing. And we got a shrinkage of the animals, as you can see here, up to 30%. But at the same time, we did a measurement of the spinal channel, and we saw there was a widening of the spinal channel up to 9%. And you see here how the vessels had been opened by the contraction of the annulus. On the other, here you see during the endoscopy how the shrinkage is working. You see we applicate this radio frequency on the collagen of the disc, and you see the shrinkage is going till here. It's not only on the tip. There's a general process in the old annulus to get a shrinkage by applicating this high radio frequency. The University of Kolkata repeated all this research I have done, and the nice thing is, even there, we got nearly the same results we have done in the lab in New York. So we can say all this what I have shown you about the effect temperature, weight reduction, shrinkage had been independently repeated and proved by the University of Columbia, Bogota. Another effect, we don't know exactly, it's under discussion, but we know when you applicate on the right tissue radio frequency, it will lead to an ingrowth of fibroblasts, and sometimes you can see, not constantly, a dehydration of the disc by application of the disc fix. Maybe it will induce some healing process, but we know this is very complicated on the disc. How we are doing this techniques, it's simple and use it safe. We do it all in local anesthesia. You can choose between side and prone positioning. I prefer sometimes side positioning for this procedure. You have to do a fluoroscopic guided approach, similar like this for the endoscopy. You do a needle placement by a postulateral approach. You can do a discogram. You will insert a small working sheet, only 3 millimeters compared to the endoscopy 7-8 millimeters. You do a manual nectotomy by a punch. Then you place this radio frequency probe straight into this. And at the end you steer to the inner annulus. You will go in this safe zone. You can visualize, can use the endoscope to visualize where you are working, to be sure that there's no neurostructure. And the most important thing is a fluoroscope. Here you see it again, step by step. You make a needle placement, then over a guiding wire, you place a small working channel. You see it placed here. Then you use this mechanical grasper, remove free disc material to the bulking. After you have done this, you will go straight into disc, do a nucleoplasty, and I recommend after nucleoplasty to use again the grasper because sometimes free material will be tightened by the radio frequency, and then you can catch it. And at the end, you will go here with this steered probe to do the annulus modulation. What are candidates for this procedure? I love this sentence from a friend in Mexico. He's saying, spine surgery is very simple. The decision, not the incision, will give you success. So the proper patient selection is the most important factor for minimal invasive spine surgery. And what are candidates? Patient with one symptomatic dildo or contained disc and or protrusion like this. The disc herniation must not be greater than 1/3 of the subject diameter of the spinal channel. We demand 6 weeks failed conservative treatment, including epidurals. The patient has to the images concordant clinical signs like positive tracing tests, vaginic pain, exopain, pelvic pain, and sensory signs. decision criteria are the same as for the endoscopy. Risks, at the end you have the same risk like you have in open surgery, but statistically it's much more decreased. That means the most common risk is discitis, septic or aseptic. Nerve root injury is nearly impossible because you do it under low concentration of the response. Pleural leakage, never take care about this because it's really containment foramen and never saw any problems by this. Activated osteochondritis can happen, is under discussion, but never forget even by microdiscectomy. When you touch with the grass or gravel, you will see this. It's not special for these procedures. There are guys that are saying, oh, it's only by these procedures you will get this activated osteochondritis. I've used a lot of patients after discectomy with really severe osteochondritis caused by microdiscectomy. You can get an extraoperational pain, especially by aseptic discitis. We don't know what it is exactly. Some guys are discussing it chemically, but we know it's responding very well to vitamin C. And I think the biggest risk of this procedure is the failure to relieve pain either short or long term. Then you are open for every further procedure. And allergic reactions due to dye for the discograms are possible. We did a study, we started in 2006, we included 2 independent centers, we used the standardized protocol, we didn't change the protocol during the study, and we figured out the efficacy with the safety, and we controlled the main important objective and subjective findings. The indication had been related to the FDA, so it was very wide, but we collected at all in this study 72 patients. We treated up to 3 levels. We demanded a pain between 5 and 10 before, and we had to do in this group 2 liberations. We did it with this fix again, and 1 microsurgery. And we asked the patient if you would undergo this procedure again, and 95% of these patients agreed because it was really a simple, very easy procedure for this patient. We asked the patient too, would you recommend such kind of procedure to a friend? And 100% agreed for this. On the other hand, we controlled leg and back pain, and you see after the application of this procedure postoperative, there's really a significant increase or decrease of the pain. Then I'm always being questioned why you have this increase. It's very simple. The patient, after 6 weeks, went back to normal activities. He went back to work. And this is a problem with this study. We didn't separate leg and back pain. Most of this pain increase is related to local low back pain, not the leg pain. But after I figured this out, I never believed in a chart like this in spine surgery. Because there is a point where the patient has to go back to normal activities. And when he's going to normal activities, he will feel more pain. More objective is the LASEG sign or strategic racing test. Here you see a clear tendency and improvement. I included 2 slight neurological deficits. Everything disappeared, and at the end we used the McNabb score for figuring out the general outcome, and we found it after in the 2 years control that 82.2% had got an excellent result. I have to comment, we are used the real McNabb because you're reading always about modified McNabb. The real McNabb demands for good or excellent outcome that the patient doesn't take any pain drugs. And this is very important because in the modified McNabb they are taking always these pain drugs out. And we did a statistical analysis in comparison to the completion technology, and here you see at the end that compared to nucleoplastic completion, we got in the intent to treat analysis a significant better outcome in the pain with this FX than with nucleoplasty. But besides the outcomes, is consideration of complication an important factor for the value of the surgical method. And in this group, or this procedure group from the study, we got no complication. We know from other studies that the complication rate for this procedure is less 1 to 1,000. But I have a good overview worldwide. I know there have been some complications. Most of these complications have been related to discitis. There have been breakage of instruments too. That's the reason I recommend this overload protection. It's for me very important to use it in the spine. So there have been some slight complications, but in the amount, microsurgery can lead to 14% of unexpected defects or complications, less than every other procedure. What are other possibilities? We are discussing about the marketing 3 in 1, 4 in 1, 5 in 1. I think if you want to do really a 4 in 1 procedure, you can use the same procedure after you treated the disc to do at the same time a rhizotomy. That means you remove, destroy by the radio frequency, the medial branch. We discussed about low back pain. What is low back pain? It's very complicated, and the facet pain is one part of low back pain. So I think it makes sense if you treat especially axial pain patients, low back pain patients, to add the rhizotomy too. It's very simple. It takes only 5 or 10 minutes. After you treated the disc, you retract your cannula, lay the electrode on the edge between facet joint and transverse process, and do the destruction of the medial branch too. So you have a further pain generator taken off. The other one we have seen is the cervical application. We are a little bit careful about this, but we are working on this. So in the future, I use this procedure too to remove sequesters. It's off-label, not recommended. You can use it during microsurgery, open surgeries, to avoid retractor damages. That means you place your cannula on this, leave the singular structures without tension back, and can do a nucleotomy. And I think this is a very nice future for cell transplantation. It's a really smart procedure. We are working on this, and you can applicate this big device to treat osteomas in the bone. So we can conclude that all these results encourage us to introduce this fix into the disc treatment, and it seems to be comparable to the other minimally invasive procedure to fill the gap between conservative treatment and open surgery. Thank you for your attention. The next level is going to degenerate. Though there is no final procedure for discs. If you promise this to your patients, you will lead your patient in the wrong direction. You have to speak very honest with your patient about the problems. What you can do is take off pain. Best results we know are leg pain. Back pain is much more complicated. But you cannot take off every pain, all pain. But when you reduce pain by procedure, it's good. But what happens if you do, for example, a big fusion? You take off axial pain, but you leave a big defect in the muscle. And the patient is coming back with muscle pain. He's coming back with adjacent facet pain. A friend of mine did a good research even after disc arthroplasty cervically. How many of these patients are getting facet pains and how they are responding to rhizotomy cervically. There is no final solution. What you can offer to the patient, especially with procedures like this fix or the endoscope, is I do less site damage. And this is important. On the other hand, you have to say, even when we are going to fail or getting worse later, you have every option to get a further surgery. You know, we have a cascade in treatment of the spine. And why should I use artillery to go for any burns? The fusion is the final step. It will be pushed, and we have a big discussion in the States by the industry, because it's a big business to put implants in. Sometimes it makes sense. But I would never recommend to my patient a fusion as a first step. At the end, it's a decision of the patient, because never forget what we are doing here. It's not life-threatening diseases. It's lifestyle. It's quality of life we are talking about. And this you have to figure out what your patient is expecting.
So from the indication for this fix, the best indication is the contain this and radiculopathy. So I would like to ask your opinion about other indication, or have you ever performed these effects in like a annular tear or the chest?
I did it. At the end, when do you see this sole radicular pain? When you see a single axial pain. You never know. What you are going to see on the spine is a combination of a lot of pain generators. You cannot figure out, is it only the disc, is it the facet joint, is it the muscle? You have a combination. Sometimes you need a little bit of experience to figure out what will be the main pain generator. For reticular pain, it's very easy, because reticular pain is mostly related to the disc or to stenosis. Low back pain is much more complicated to find it out. But if you applicate it, and this was the reason I have shown the rhizotomy after disc treatment, you give the patient a chance to improve. But at the end, when you ask me after this procedure, okay, you did 4 in 1, what of the 4 parts of the procedure now treated the pain generator? I cannot say at all. The disc height. No, disc height, there are technical limitations, because you have diameter of the cannula of 3 millimeters. If you have less than 3 millimeters, it doesn't work anymore. But you have to look how degenerated it is. When you have really a severe osteochondrosis, when you see there's a listhesis and instability, then I think this procedure is the wrong one. I always get asked, Dr. Lange, why do you still open surgery? I have to do open surgery. What we are talking about is not a replacement of open surgery. It's a placement of another procedure in all the treatment options. To give or to offer the patient in selected cases to get a less traumatic treatment. Even in discectomies, I have to do microdiscectomies because there are limits. Even when I say I'm not skilled enough to treat this with an endoscope, I have to do this with an open surgery. I have to do fusions too. So the disc height alone, you cannot measure everything on the spine mechanically. That's the biggest mistake. That when you go to meetings, we are discussing only pictures. And then I ask, where's the patient? You have to talk with the patient. You have to figure out what he's bothered from. Otherwise, we are going to fail. Dr. Gora said, the brain is not here. At the end, the brain is here. Huh? No, what you have to do is, you have to do always 2 facets. Because because of the nerves in the branch, the innervation is overlapping. So you have to do 2 medial branch, as you have seen there. We use the upper and the inferior medial branch. One of the problems sometimes is that we do, the simplest way is to do a single-sided rhizotomy. Normally we do it on both sides. Okay, if you do it in prone position, it's very easy to use the same probe to set a separated approach and do the rhizotomy opposite.
Please, when you mentioned about the endoscopic cervical microdiscectomy, how many cases did you perform the fusion?
Oh, I performed not a lot. I did 8, 9 cases. I can tell you the background is a little bit legal reason. Because it's not so well approved, especially the bony fusion. Some companies disliked it because it's a cheap procedure. You don't use any implant. So you get in conflict with big companies, they want to sell their implants on the cervical spine. And on the other hand, it is when you have not enough decompression with the endoscope and you do a fusion, you can go in trouble. So it's, in Germany it was not a good situation politically for this, to promote it. But it's working well. There are other places in the world they like it because they have to save money. They cannot spend a lot of money for cages. It's depending locally on the politics. But I think it makes sense maybe to work further on this technology. Maybe to develop implants. It's the same like as I have shown for the lumbar spine. I started with the bone dowels and I got a fusion rate of 70%. Only with this posterior screws and the bone dowels inside the vertebral space. But at the end, we are working now on this expandable cage. Much more support for this.
How many percent are after endoscopy?
Not so much. We saw the collapse, I would say, or diminishing of the disc height. You see not a full collapse, yeah? But you see sometimes an advanced degeneration in 20%. What I see also very often, 30% of the patients, I saw like a spontaneous fusion or a calcification of the anterior ligament. But it's not bad because it gave stability. Yeah? So in the beginning I was a little bit scared about this, but I thought at the end, okay, when it's stabilized, when you have a calcification of the disc or of the anterior ligament, it's helpful. Though you cannot say exactly, it's a little bit depending how you work. Yeah? Never forget that this technique is a little bit more accurate. It gives you a better decompression because you're using a bigger channel. Yeah? On the other hand, the image is a little bit bigger. If you are going back to the old Sang-Ho technique with the 5mm scope, or there's another scope 3mm, you see more patients without adequate decompression, but you don't see so much collapse. Yeah? And most of the collapses we saw after using this Wolf technique, because you know you are using this oval sheath for distracting it, and this is producing a lot of damage with the Wolf technique. So I think there have been most of the collapses.
For your technique, when you put the sheet to the directly compress at the posterior aspect of the...
I go to the posterior ligament, I open the posterior ligament, I work similar like I do microscopic discectomy.
So there's no need to be a substrate in the support before you reach...
No, I go to the posterior part. I have to know the direction because I don't want to open the whole disc.
Because sometimes that you have to make it step by step. Maybe you're afraid of if there's protrusion there.
No, I don't push it out. No. But what I have to do, you have to see the procedure, how they do it. The first step is, and that's the difference with the Wolf technique. Yeah? The Wolf technique is quite different. This is a special patented system. That means we're starting, place only these two sharp lips in the disc. Then the sheath is fixated. Then we are using refine, taking out all disc material in front of the sheath. We create a channel before we are going in with the channel into disc. And I told you I avoid discograms because I saw two single straight herniations after cervical discograms. The same happens when you go inside the disc with the whole dilator. It happens even by the disc procedure. In Italy, it's a little different. We don't need the sharp refinement in the disc procedure. We go straight with the dilation channel in the disc. What happened? They increase the pressure in the disc and they push out sequesters. So what we are doing surgically, we are placing only these two small lips in the disc, grading the channel by using refine, using shaper, and then we push, after we graded the channel, we push the pendular forward. The girders was so good. So I never saw the problem to push everything out. Yeah, we discussed 20% or so. Diminishing of the height, not a collapse at all. Yeah? But what I saw more often had been spontaneous fusions. Because the funny thing on the cervical spine is there's a high potential fusion. Even when you put only a needle in the disc, it leads to calcification.
I have lunch and